Welcome back, Knicks fans. It's been a long time since I dropped a video. This video has been long overdue. Really wanted to talk about Julius Randle and the issues he's having with the New York Knicks, with the team, not just with the team, but also with the fans. I'm starting to wonder if Julius Randle, if it's possible, he's actually going to tap out and request a trade. I know it sounds crazy. A lot of people have been saying, "Oh, he's definitely not going to get traded this year. He's going to be with us at least 2 years." Yeah, that's true. I agree. He might be with us, a couple of years. If he doesn't request a trade. But because of how toxic it's been, especially with his behavior and him going back and forth with the fans, you know, it just feels ugly. It feels very toxic, and the fans are clearly in his head. And so you have to wonder how much more of this can Julius Randle really handle, right? And the fans are obviously clearly in his head because, a couple of weeks ago he gave them a thumbs down, and then during the press conference he cursed out the fans. And honestly, to tell you the truth, the boos from the fans were well deserved, right? However, I'm wondering if it's more than the boos. I'm wondering if he's actually reading a lot of Twitter messages, and which is what you don't want to do. He doesn't want to do that. Uh, but I feel like a lot of it is well deserved. You look at the last game we played against the Pelicans, his behavior during the half, right before the half, he tips in the ball, but he's still complaining about a foul call he didn't get like a few plays prior. It got so bad that he actually basically shoved off his teammate's hands, Evan Fournier, which is terrible. And then not just that, you can just see his demeanor on the court. I feel is just terrible, in my opinion. He doesn't set a good example for the young guys because his demeanor on the defensive end sometimes he basically gets really frustrated and it really shows, especially if somebody misses an assignment. He's not perfect either. He also misses defensive assignments as well. But if somebody misses it, it feels like he acts like it's never his fault when there's a mix-up, and he just throws his hands down and look at the person like like the person really screwed up. And however, he just needs to look in the mirror and just find a way to just play better. This year, Julius Randle was only shooting 39% through 44 games. Last year, after 44 games, he was shooting 47% from the field, right? And through the 44 games this year, Julius Randle has only shot above 45% 13 times after 44 games. Only 13 times have he shot 45% or better. Last year, at this point, after 44 games, he shot 45% or better 27 times. So it's like a huge difference. It's just like he's just way more consistent this year than he was last year, and it actually shows. It really shows. And like I say, he just doesn't set a very good example for his teammates. Then the other issue is, I feel like he's like a deer in headlights sometimes, especially when he's on the free throw line. I can't remember the last time Julius Randle was on the free throw line this year and he made both free throws during the crunch time. There's actually been games where I remember actually one game where he basically missed both free throws during crunch time. And so a lot of time he has that deer in headlights look, like he just can't take it, especially with the energy in the garden and with fans chanting. Basically, just there's always a lot of energy. Sometimes you can feel tension in the garden too, especially when the team is playing terrible. And so you can really feel that. And so he always has that deer in headlight, look. And so it just kind of really makes you wonder, right? And honestly, part of the issue, although Julius Randle is a grown man who's responsible for his own actions, I feel like part of the problem is Tom Thibodeau because Thibodeau doesn't really hold him accountable for poor decisions or poor performance on the court. Maybe he does it after the games or during practice, but however, during the games, he definitely doesn't do that. And sometimes you have to hold the players accountable during the game, right? And you also have other players in the team. If you're basically having Julius Randle just run roughshod all over the team, do whatever he wants, and act crazy, the other players are not going to respect Tom Thibodeau as a coach. They're going to say, he's just basically they're just not going to respect him, right? Because of that. And so I do blame Tom Thibodeau for some of his behavior because they haven't been able to nip this in the bud. It kind of reminds me of what he did in Minnesota with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler essentially did whatever he wanted, and that it ruined the team's chemistry. He traded Zach LaVine for Jimmy Butler, only for Jimmy Butler to be walked out of the door like a year and a half later. And so you essentially traded someone who could have basically given the Minnesota Timberwolves probably 7 or 8 good All Star level years on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Instead of that, you basically traded for Jimmy Butler, who walks out a year and a half later, right? And so you traded away basically. Actually, at that point, he could have given, could have still given the Timberwolves about 12 really good years. And so you traded 12 years for a year and a half of Jimmy Butler and a lot of chaos. And because of that, he lost his job with the Timberwolves. And so I think he's doing the same thing with the Knicks. Unfortunately, it feels like really didn't learn his lesson from that experience with the Timberwolves, and and it's just getting really ugly. You're hearing a lot of boos during the games, especially when Julius Randle is not performing very well, especially when he makes really bad decisions. You can hear them chanting Obi Toppin's names a lot. Even I think the last game they were chanting Obi Toppin's name when Julius was at the line, which is a little much. And like I said, I think I said it a few times before. The New York Knicks fans, it can get really ugly in that building sometimes, especially if you fall out of favor and you don't play hard. And so that's why I just have the sad feeling that I think he may actually tap out and request a trade. Honestly, sometimes I wonder if he should do it for the sake of his mental and emotional well-being. You know, I really do hope Julius does recover. I'm not saying like I hate basically going from one end to the other. Uh, However, it's just because I'm just looking at it from what he's doing right now and how things are going. And I feel like the way it's going, if it continues, it's just going to get really ugly. He may have to request a trade. But I am hoping, he's able to just, turn it around and ball out the rest of the season and turn all those boos into cheers. Look, the guy had a tremendous 2021 year, and I really do wish him well and hope he returns to form. Thank you guys. Let me know what you guys think about this, about the video about Julius Randle. Do you guys think he's actually going to tap out at some point and request a trade, especially if it if the toxicity like level maintains at this level, right? If it keeps getting worse, do you guys think he's going to request a trade? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much.